Humanity stood poised to unleash hell upon the galaxy if their demands were not met. War was on the horizon, and the aliens had gone too far this time. In the year 2257, humans were spreading across the stars as part of the Galactic Federation. But not all welcomed Earth's rise. The prideful Tarkalians saw humans as unworthy upstarts that needed to be put in their place. Nathan Powell, one of Earth's top diplomats, arrived on the Tarkalian homeworld to negotiate a trade agreement. But as his shuttle landed, he learned the horrible truth. A human exploration ship had been seized by the Tarkalians. Its crew was now being held hostage. The sneering Tarkalian Sirefather presented Powell with an outrageous ultimatum: surrender multiple key human star systems, or the prisoners would die. It was a trap, a ploy to test Earth's resolve and make them look weak. The stakes couldn't be higher. Innocent lives hung in the balance, and if humanity capitulated, it would only embolden the Tarkalians and other alien foes. Powell had to act fast while stalling for time. He sent an encrypted emergency comm burst to Earth forces stationed nearby, praying they would arrive before the worst happened. Tension simmered as a menacing Tarkalian battlecruiser took up orbital positions above the meeting site. The Sirefather and his guards watched Powell like hungry lithivores, waiting for any sign of human weakness. Powell made one final plea for the hostages' release. The Sirefather laughed in his face. He gave the order to publicly execute the prisoners as a message to Earth. At that exact instant, a flotilla of Earth's most formidable warships dropped out of hyperspace, materializing around the Tarkalian vessel. Admiral Zhang delivered a brutal ultimatum to the Sirefather: free the hostages now, or be annihilated. Every human railgun and torpedo tube was locked on their ship and cities. The Sirefather realized he had badly underestimated humans. Earth had outplayed him. Faced with utter ruin, he relented and released the captives. As Powell departed with the rescued crew, he gave the shaken Sirefather a dire warning. This small display of force was just a hint of the fire and fury Earth would rain down on any who dared threaten them. News of the Tarkalian standoff spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Many alien governments developed a new respect and fear for the dangers of provoking humanity's wrath. But in the halls of power on the Tarkalian homeworld, the humiliated leadership seethed and plotted. They would make the humans pay for this insult, no matter what it took. In the shadowed halls of the Tarkalian High Command, the Sirefather and his inner circle seethed with rage and humiliation. The sting of their defeat at the hands of the humans, particularly the brazen diplomat Nathan Powell, was a festering wound that refused to heal. They had underestimated the Terrans, a mistake they vowed never to make again. The humans must pay for this insult, the Sirefather hissed, his clawed fists clenched tightly. We will strike at the heart of their power and make them rue the day they dared to challenge us. Thus began a sinister plot to undermine Earth's growing influence. The Tarkalians handpicked their most skilled operatives, masters of infiltration and sabotage, and tasked them with a critical mission: penetrate key human military installations across the galaxy and cripple their defenses from within. Disguised as members of various alien races, the Tarkalian agents slipped past security checkpoints and embedded themselves in the daily operations of the human outposts. With meticulous planning and ruthless efficiency, they set to work, planting explosives, corrupting vital systems, and sowing chaos wherever they went. The first major blow came when a team of saboteurs successfully infiltrated a shipyard, constructing a new fleet of advanced human warships. In a daring nighttime raid, they planted charges in critical locations throughout the facility. The resulting explosions tore through the shipyard, reducing the nearly completed vessels to twisted, smoldering wrecks. As reports of the attacks began to filter back to Earth, military intelligence scrambled to uncover the identity of the culprits. Nathan Powell, his reputation now well established after his handling of the hostage crisis, was called upon to lead the investigation. Assembling a team of elite operatives, including his trusted friend and mentor Commander Jackson Briggs, Nathan set out to unravel the mystery. The team pored over surveillance footage, analyzed cryptic communications, and followed a complex web of clues that spanned the galaxy. Their diligence paid off when they discovered a pattern in the sabotage, a subtle signature that pointed to Tarkalian involvement. Armed with this knowledge, they focused their efforts on tracking down the source of the attacks. The trail led them to a remote asteroid belt on the fringes of explored space. There, hidden among the tumbling rocks and debris, they discovered a secret Tarkalian base, a hive of activity coordinating the sabotage efforts. Nathan and his team knew they had to act fast. In a daring raid, they infiltrated the base, breaching its defenses and engaging the surprised Tarkalian forces in a fierce firefight. The close quarters of the asteroid base became a deadly battleground, with Nathan and his team navigating narrow corridors and dimly lit chambers as they fought their way deeper into the facility. During the chaotic battle, Nathan and Commander Briggs stumbled upon a command center filled with advanced communication equipment and data terminals. As they secured the room, they quickly realized the true scope of the Tarkalian plot. Decrypted files and intercepted transmissions revealed a chilling truth. The sabotage was merely a prelude to a much larger attack, a full-scale assault on a critical human colony world. The clock was ticking, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Nathan and Commander Briggs raced back to friendly space, urgently relaying the intelligence to Earth's military leaders. The colony had to be warned and reinforced before the Tarkalian strike force arrived. As the human fleet mobilized, Nathan and his team prepared for the coming battle, knowing that the fate of countless lives rested on their shoulders. They had thwarted the Tarkalians' insidious sabotage campaign, but the true test of their drive was yet to come. In the cold void of space, the human and Tarkalian fleets clashed in a titanic struggle for supremacy. Brilliant beams of energy crisscrossed the void as fighters danced and wove through the chaos, locked in mortal combat. The colony's orbital defenses held the line, buying precious time for the ground forces to mobilize. Nathan, leading a hand-picked strike team, descended to the planet's surface to bolster the colony's defenses and protect the civilian population. As the dropships touched down in the capital city, they were greeted by the sight of Tarkalian shock troops swarming the streets, sowing destruction in their wake. The battle for the colony was fierce and unrelenting. Nathan and his team fought with unbridled courage, their weapons barking as they pushed back against the Tarkalian onslaught. The colonists, inspired by the bravery of their defenders, took up arms and joined the fray, fighting alongside the soldiers to protect their homes and loved ones. In the heart of the city, Nathan found himself face-to-face with a formidable Tarkalian commander, a ruthless warrior determined to see the colony fall. The two clashed in a brutal melee, their weapons flashing and sparks flying as they traded blows. Nathan's skill and willpower proved too much for the alien commander, and with a final, decisive strike, he emerged victorious. The tide of the battle began to turn as the human reinforcements poured in from orbit, bolstering the defenders and forcing the Tarkalians to retreat. Faced with the unyielding resistance of the human forces and the arrival of fresh troops, the Tarkalian fleet had no choice but to withdraw, their attack blunted and their objectives unmet. The colony had been saved, but the cost had been high. The streets were littered with the wreckage of war, and the casualty lists were long. But even in the face of such loss, the resilience and bravery of the human spirit shone through. Nathan and his fellow soldiers were hailed as heroes, their sacrifices a testament to the unwavering perseverance of humanity. As the smoke cleared and the wounds began to heal, it became evident that the Tarkalian threat was just the beginning. Though beaten back, their leadership remained committed to their quest for vengeance against the humans who had humiliated them. In the shadows, they began to gather allies among other disaffected alien races, sowing the seeds of discontent and laying the groundwork for a potential galaxy-wide conflict. Nathan Powell, now a hero and a symbol of Earth's strength, found himself at the center of this brewing storm. Promoted for his actions and trusted with even greater responsibilities, he knew that the road ahead would be long and perilous. But with the support of his comrades and the unyielding spirit of humanity at his back, he was determined to safeguard Earth's place in the cosmos and confront any challenge that lay ahead. The battle lines had been drawn, and the stage was set for a conflict that would shape the destiny of the universe. As the Tarkalians and their allies plotted and schemed, Nathan and the forces of Earth stood ready, united in their perseverance to defend their way of life and preserve the hard-won peace they had fought so dearly to achieve. The Tarkalian Sire Father paced in his war room, his claws clicking against the metallic floor. Holograms flickered around him, displaying the aftermath of their failed attack on the human colony. His lieutenants watched nervously as he fumed. "We need allies," he snarled. "The humans have proven more resilient than we anticipated." A subordinate spoke up. "Sire, what about the Vorash? They've long harbored resentment against the Terrans." The Sire Father's eyes gleamed. "Yes, contact them immediately." Across the galaxy, on the craggy homeworld of the Vorash, the message arrived. The Vorash war chief, a hulking figure covered in bony plates, listened intently to the Tarkalian proposal. A toothy grin spread across his face. "At last," he rumbled, "a chance to crush the human vermin." Within days, Vorash warships joined the Tarkalian fleet. Massive shipyards hummed with activity as both species poured resources into building an armada unlike any the galaxy had seen. On Earth, alarms blared in the military command center. Nathan Powell rushed into a briefing room packed with grim-faced officers. Admiral Zhang stood at the head of the table, pointing to a holographic star map. "Our deep cover agents have confirmed it," Zhang said. "The Tarkalians and Vorash have allied against us. They're amassing a fleet large enough to overwhelm our defenses." Nathan leaned forward. "We need to hit them before they're ready. I have an idea, but it's risky." Hours later, Nathan crouched in the cargo hold of a battered freighter. His team, disguised as interstellar traders, fidgeted nervously as they approached a massive Vorash shipyard. "Easy," Nathan whispered. "Act natural." They docked without incident. As the team unloaded crates of supposed trade goods, Nathan scanned for weaknesses. He spotted a network of power conduits running throughout the facility. Over the next tense hours, Nathan's operatives planted demolition charges at key junctions. Twice, they nearly ran into Vorash patrols. Nathan's heart pounded as he placed the final charge. "Time to go," he said into his comms. "Nice and easy." They boarded their ship and departed, sweating bullets until they cleared the system. Nathan took a deep breath and pressed the detonator. Behind them, the shipyard erupted in a series of devastating explosions. Incomplete warships shattered. Docking arms collapsed. The entire facility went dark. In the Tarkalian war room, the Sire Father howled with rage as reports of the damage poured in. "No more waiting," he roared. "We attack now." Across human space, proximity alarms screamed to life. On dozens of worlds, civilians rushed to shelters as defense grids powered up. The night sky blazed as Vorash and Tarkalian warships tore out of hyperspace, weapons already firing. On the bridge of his flagship, Nathan stood shoulder to shoulder with Admiral Zhang. Tactical displays showed wave after wave of enemy ships smashing against Earth's defenders. "All ships, engage at will," Zhang ordered. "Deploy sunburst countermeasures." Human vessels unleashed swarms of miniature drones that latched onto enemy ships, overloading their shields. Precision strikes from railguns gutted Vorash cruisers. But still, the enemy pressed on, their numbers seemingly endless. Nathan grimaced as damage reports flooded in. "We're losing ground in the Arcturus sector," he said. Zhang nodded grimly. "We need a breakthrough. What about Proxima Prime?" "I'm on it," Nathan said. Hours later, Nathan's dropship screamed through Proxima Prime's atmosphere, dodging anti-aircraft fire. They crash-landed near a spaceport overrun by Vorash troops. Nathan led his Marines in a fierce assault, fighting house to house to secure the facility. Local resistance fighters joined the fray, giving the humans the edge they needed. Nathan's forces pushed the Vorash back, securing vital shipyards and supply depots. But even as news of the victory spread, Nathan knew the war was a long way to go. Reports came in of the enemy armada regrouping, pressing toward Earth itself. He boarded a shuttle, racing back to rejoin Admiral Zhang. The final battle for humanity's homeworld loomed. As his ship accelerated to faster-than-light speeds, Nathan clenched his fists. Whatever happened next, Earth would not fall without a fight. Nathan Powell stared at the tactical holograms, his expression resolute tight. The massive Vorash Tarkalian armada loomed ever closer to Earth's defenses, a sea of hostile red markers that threatened to engulf humanity's homeworld. He turned to Admiral Zhang, grit etched on his face. "We need to split their forces," Nathan said. "I have a plan, but it's risky as hell." Zhang raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Nathan laid out his audacious scheme, a covert strike against the Tarkalian homeworld itself. Within hours, he had assembled an elite team of infiltrators. They stood before him in the hangar bay, each hand-picked for their unique skills. "This mission is volunteer only," Nathan addressed the group. "We may not make it back." Not a single soldier stepped back. Using a captured Tarkalian vessel, they slipped past the invading fleets. The stolen ship shuddered as it tore through hyperspace, emerging in the heart of enemy territory. Nathan's pulse quickened as they approached the Tarkalian capital world. Under cover of darkness, they landed and dispersed across the planet's surface. Nathan led a strike team to a massive shipyard. They moved silently through the shadows, planting charges on vital systems. At Nathan's signal, explosions rocked military installations across the globe. Alarms blared as the commandos melted away into the chaos. In a captured communications center, Nathan uploaded fabricated intelligence reports suggesting an imminent full-scale human invasion. "Let's see how they like a taste of their own medicine," he muttered. The response was swift. Panicked Tarkalian leaders began recalling ships from the Earth invasion force to fortify their homeworld. Nathan allowed himself a grim smile as he watched the enemy fleet thin out. But their work was far from finished. For days, Nathan's team waged a brutal guerrilla campaign. They struck targets of opportunity, wreaking havoc on the Tarkalian war machine. Sleep became a luxury as they fought to stay one step ahead of enemy patrols. Meanwhile, Admiral Zhang seized the initiative. With the Vorash Tarkalian armada depleted, humanity's defenders struck back hard. Fierce battles erupted across multiple systems as Zhang outmaneuvered the invaders at every turn. Nathan received Zhang's encoded transmissions with growing excitement. The tide was turning, but he knew one final push was needed to break the enemy's back. Using stolen access codes, Nathan's team infiltrated the remnants of the Tarkalian fleet. They moved swiftly through the ships, planting hidden charges in critical systems. As the battered Vorash Tarkalian forces prepared a fighting retreat, Nathan sprang the trap. With a few keystrokes, he triggered a cascading series of explosions that ripped through the enemy fleet. Crippled and unable to escape, the invaders found themselves caught between Zhang's advancing forces and the merciless void of space. The final battle was short and devastating. Nathan watched from the bridge of a commandeered Tarkalian cruiser as the last enemy ships were obliterated. Countless alien hulks drifted lifelessly, a graveyard of shattered ambitions. But their mission wasn't over yet. Nathan turned his attention to the Tarkalian homeworld below. Scattered pockets of resistance still held out, desperately trying to regroup. "Time to finish this," Nathan told his weary team. They struck like thunder, crushing the final holdouts with ruthless efficiency. At last, only the Tarkalian leadership bunker remained. Nathan stood before the blast doors, flanked by his commandos. With a nod, they breached the entrance. Inside, they found the once mighty Sire Father cowering among his advisors. Nathan approached the alien leader, his weapon trained steadily. "Your invasion has failed," he said coldly. "Earth stands unbroken, but I'm authorized to offer you mercy in exchange for your complete and unconditional surrender." The Sire Father's eyes darted wildly, taking in the ruin of his civilization. With a shuddering breath, he bowed his head in defeat. We surrender," the alien croaked. As Nathan secured the Tarkalian leadership, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Word of humanity's triumph spread like wildfire, leaving friend and foe alike in awe of Earth's persistence. Those who had doubted humankind's strength were left to contemplate their grave miscalculation. Nathan knew the coming days would bring new challenges. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Against adversity, humanity had. Nathan stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Tarkalian homeworld. The planet's surface was scarred with the aftermath of battle, smoke still rising from ruined cities. He turned to Admiral Zhang, who stood beside him with a grim expression. "Show me the evidence," Nathan said, his voice hoarse from days of combat. Zhang nodded and tapped a series of commands into the console. Encrypted transmissions and schematics flickered to life before them, casting an eerie blue glow across the bridge. "These were buried deep in the Tarkalian military archives," Zhang explained. "Our analysts just decrypted them." Nathan leaned in, studying the alien text and diagrams. His eyes widened as he pieced together the horrifying truth. "The Riculans," he breathed. "I thought they were just a myth." Zhang shook his head. Apparently not. The Tarkalians were desperate enough to try awakening them. Nathan's mind raced as he absorbed the implications. He'd heard whispered legends of the Riculans during his time in the service, stories of an ancient race that had nearly wiped out all life in the galaxy eons ago, before vanishing into the void. "How close were they to succeeding?" Nathan asked, dreading the answer. Zhang pulled up another set of schematics. "Too close. They'd already located several Riculan stasis chambers, if we hadn't stopped them when we did." Nathan's fists clenched at his sides. He thought of the devastation they'd just witnessed, the countless lives lost on both sides of the conflict, and now this, the revelation that it could have been so much worse. "We need to find those stasis chambers," Nathan said. "Destroy them before anyone else gets the same idea." Zhang nodded in agreement. "I've already dispatched scout ships to the coordinates we found in the Tarkalian data. But Nathan, there's more." The Admiral brought up a new set of transmissions. Nathan's blood ran cold as he read the contents. "They made contact," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," Zhang confirmed. "Brief, but enough to potentially wake some of the Riculans from their ancient slumber. We don't know how many, or where they might be now." Nathan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of this new threat settling onto his shoulders. When he opened them again, his gaze was steely. "Assemble a task force," he ordered. "Our best ships, our best people. We need to track down any awakened Riculans before they can rebuild their forces." Zhang nodded, already tapping orders into his console. "What about Earth? The public will want to know." "Tell them nothing," Nathan cut him off. "Not yet. The last thing we need is widespread panic. For now, this stays between us and a select few." As Zhang turned to carry out his orders, Nathan's thoughts drifted to the rows of flag-draped coffins he'd seen earlier. So many had already given their lives to protect Earth. Now it seemed their sacrifice might have only been the beginning. He stared out at the stars beyond the view screen, wondering which of those distant points of light might harbor an ancient, awakening evil. The war against the Tarkalians and Varash had pushed humanity to its limits. But compared to what potentially lay ahead, that conflict might prove to have been merely a prelude. Nathan squared his shoulders, pushing aside his exhaustion and grief. There would be time to mourn later. For now, he had a galaxy to protect and a nightmare to prevent from fully awakening.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.